back to another U.S. immigration law video. Today we're on the topic of TN visas, and specifically we'll be talking about the TN visa wage requirement, which can be a somewhat confusing topic because individuals are most commonly familiar with the H-1B visa. And if you're dealing with an H-1B visa, the H-1B visa has what is called a prevailing wage requirement, meaning that you have to go to the Department of Labor and you have to verify that the individual that's coming to work for you in the United States is getting paid what would be referred to as a minimum wage for that position in that area of intended employment. They want to verify that this foreign national coming into the United States is being paid a fair wage, is being paid a wage that is comparable to what U.S. citizen workers would be paid and other workers at that company would be paid. They want to make sure that they're not undercutting the U.S. labor market. Well, the TN visa does not have a specific wage requirement, such as a prevailing wage determination like the H-1B visa. And specifically, if you go to the regulations, what it says is, unlike the H-1B visa, there is no prevailing wage requirement for a TN visa. And this is advice to the officers. It says, you should, however, verify that the salary proposed is indicative of the professional level employment in the United States. Well, what does that mean? Well, there is wage data out there that officers can refer to, where they can pull up just general wage data. And I have a case that I was working on recently where this exact issue came up. The individual is working as a computer systems analyst in the state of California. And specifically down in Southern California, it'd be in San Diego County, if I remember correctly. Well, the wages in San Diego County in California are rather high for computer systems analysts. The entry-level wage, off the top of my head, I think was around $38 an hour. And the individual here was saying that they were offered a position to work at $18 an hour. Well, even though there's not a prevailing wage, the officer can look at that wage and say $18 an hour for a computer systems analyst in Southern California. That's way off. That is way below what a computer systems analyst should be being paid. First of all, not only is it under what the wage should be for that market, but they're also looking at other factors with that wage. They want to make sure that the individual is coming into the United States, that wage is going to be sufficient to sustain themselves in the United States. Is this a wage where somebody can financially support themselves? And then they'll also look further into the duties. Are these duties actually a computer systems analyst? How can somebody be possibly paid that low of a wage? And they can use that, if that wage is so far off, like in that case, to deny a case, saying that this wage is not consistent with what a computer systems analyst would make in that area of intended employment. You cannot support yourself financially with that wage, and they could deny it, even though there is not a prevailing wage determination requirement. If that wage is so far off and so inconsistent with that profession in that area of intended employment, then the CBP officer has the discretion to deny a visa on that basis alone. So, although there is not a wage requirement specifically written in the regulations that has to be met for a TN visa, the wage must be consistent with what a professional in that profession would make in that area of intended employment. So be careful when you are getting a job offer. Make sure that you are being paid a fair wage. If you're an employer, make sure that wage is consistent with what you're paying other workers at your company. So even though there isn't a written wage requirement for a TN visa, it must be consistent with what other professionals in that area of intended employment would be paid for similar duties.